Hi, guys. Welcome back. It's Sports with Mono and Mono. It's June 29th, 2024. And as you can see on my left, that's Eli,
How are we doing today?
our co-host. Yeah. Doing good, Eli. It's been battling a lot of hot weather on the East Coast and, just all over the place. I mean,
Absolutely.
hurricanes with the devastation in the Midwest from these tornadoes has been unbelievable.
It's a big mess, but we are, grateful
Yep.
that everyone's gonna keep safe. We'll
Yep.
send our prayers as always and the help that we need. And it was a
Yep.
crazy week indeed, not just in sports, but in general, in
Yep.
other events that we don't talk about. But
We don't. That's right.
yep. But yeah,
All
it was
right.
just crazy.
But listen, let's jump right into it. And, each week, we try to do a monologue about just kind of a topic of interest that I think, I have some viewpoints on, and I'd love to hear from you guys. Send us comments, of course, at sportswithmonoandmono@gmail, or comment right on the show. And of course, this is always sponsored by our dear friends at Coriano Trucking of Summerhill, New York. So, Eli, I got an interesting concept, and I've had this conversation with some of my uh, listeners, some of our listeners. It was about the NBA draft and how, obviously there must have been a mandate from LeBron James and Adam Silver to say nobody draft Bronny James because he's going to the Lakers in the second round. And that's exactly what happened because that's what LeBron James won. I call it the LeBron Basketball Association, LBA. So
I'll give my thoughts.
it's no coincidence. And literally, I'm sure the conversations were had to the other general managers. Not that this kid's a top flight player anyway, right? But he has some potential. Genes, I believe in genes and so forth. But I just thought it was interesting that people said, no, he could go somewhere else or some other team could draft him and then use that as draft capital for a trade with the Lakers. But I think it was a clear message across the league that the 55th pick is going to be the Los Angeles Lakers, and they're going to take LeBron James so he could play with his son. And there's only been a couple other instances where father and sons have played in major sports. And obviously, the Ken Griffey and Ken Griffey Jr. was one. Tim Raines Jr. was another. And Gordie Howe, of course, he played for the Hartford Whalers, and that's a shout out for Rob. Played for the Hartford Whalers with his two sons, Mark and Marty. So it's kind of cool, but I just thought it was funny. And I knew exactly that this was going to go down the way that it went down. And what are your thoughts on LeBron
Well, we all
James?
knew this was coming for sure. But to me, I'm surprised he didn't go first round. I really thought he would go first round because, LeBron James, you want to secure the deal. I thought he would absolutely be a first round pick. Is it the right decision that he should have went to the Lakers? Obviously, the only reason why is because of LeBron James. Do I think it's right? No, not really. I don't think he's probably NBA worthy just yet. But it's all for LeBron James and him and the $1 million that the NBA can make on that game or two that they are together. Honestly, I'm just again shocked that he got 55. We all knew it's a market. It's LeBron James league. And I would have been surprised if the Lakers didn't take him. I would actually be surprised that if let's say he weren't to be taken by the Lakers at 55, who would have taken him? Would the Suns have taken him next, or what would the next decision be?
But that's my point. He was always going to the Lakers and nowhere else.
Why not first round though? That's what my question is.
Because you know what? They got actually this kid Connect, I think, from Tennessee as their first draft pick. So there was still guys with more talent. That's why it was okay for him to fall to the second round because no one was going to take him anyway.
Anyway, we do have a comment from Eric. Good morning, happy 4th, and Eric says, of course, good morning. We also have a note. Which thank you for watching as always, and anybody else, don't forget to to subscribe to our channel. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. Description, all that is in the little tickler below. We also don't forget to send an email. You can comment. We love to hear your thoughts. And we are doing as Eric mentioned, a 4th of July show. Here's a little banner. 4th of July, we'll be doing a show It's our Sports in Mono July 4th special, Thursday at 10 a.m. on YouTube. There will be no Saturday show next week. So we will be having a show exclusively on Thursday, 10 a.m., 4th of July. You can't miss it. We have no Saturday show next week, so just want to bring that out there. No Saturday show, Thursday watch.
Excellent. Good promo there. Nice. Good programming note. So so less than a week from now, we'll be doing our 4th of July show.
No, not even 6 days
before Eli goes on his cruise, I guess. Right?
Yeah.
Good. All right, Eli. Let's move on. Right. So we got the NHL. Let's kind of recap what we saw in the NHL finals, of course, with Edmonton and the Florida Panthers, who jumped out to a 3-0 lead. Looked like a foregone conclusion. It would go 4, maybe 5 games. But you have guys like McDavid and Draisaitl and them, and they rallied back and turned the tide completely around for 3 games to force a Game 7. And there's nothing greater than a Game 7 in the NHL.
No question.
And so, the question was, can McDavid pull off this miracle comeback? Would the Florida Panthers have one of the biggest collapses in sports history? And turns out they rallied. They did have the game at home, and they won the Stanley Cup for the first time in franchise history. And listen, Edmonton, you guys have a lot to be optimistic about. You will get your Stanley Cup with Connor McDavid at some point. And it just came so close, but it really was a great series altogether.
It was a fantastic series from the beginning to the end. Over 7 million people watched that game on ABC and ESPN Plus on Monday. And not to mention the fact it was a full stadium. Every single sports network that usually never talks about hockey talked about hockey because it was that big of a game. Again, as they said it constantly, the 2 big words in sports, Game 7. And it was a Game 7. It was 1-1 at the end of the first. Then you went to 2-1 with the fantastic goal in the second. And that ended up being your hockey game right there. It was a fantastic game from Florida and a well-deserved game for them. And I think, to me, a special moment was Paul Maurice lifting the Stanley Cup during the interview with ESPN and Emily Kaplan. He was just talking nothing, tapped him on the back, lifted up the trophy, stared at it, kissed it, lifted it up. That was a special moment that I think will be the staple for hockey and the future. I mean, looking back at it, it was amazing watching that moment. It was surreal. It was special. It gave you chills if you were, a passionate hockey fan, seeing that moment right on camera.
And I'm glad you brought the Paul Maurice thing up, because he was the coach that has coached the most games all time without having won a Stanley Cup. And it's so funny to think about it, because I remember when Paul Maurice was a young coach, he first came in. I think he might have started with the Hurricanes, if I'm not mistaken. But
I believe you're
right. Excuse me, that's perseverance. Good for him.
And let's just say this before we go on to other notes about hockey and also the Stanley Cup. The Stanley Cup, let's just say, has been having a party, I guess you could say. It was in Miami, the Atlantic Ocean, and had pasta with lots of Parmesan cheese. Let's just say that trophy is what I call having a good time. I mean, if you ask what's the greatest trophy in sports, it is the Stanley Cup. And look at the party you have. You could eat ice cream out of it, cereal, you could drink out of it, and you could have pasta with Parmesan cheese on it. That was a special, crazy week that the Cup had. That's for sure. I just want to throw that out there.
But that's the privilege of winning the hardest trophy in sports. No doubt. No doubt.
Yeah,
that was great.
And
great to see.
Another moment that I was shocked about, though, Jim, was Connor McDavid won the Conn Smythe Trophy. Usually it comes from a winning team. It came from the opposing losing team. And it was just odd to see, it hasn't happened in a few years, rather. But
I think it's happened maybe 6 times ever.
Yeah. But it was a little disappointing that he didn't come out to collect his trophy. He just stayed in the locker room and they just announced his name. To me, that was just a little bit, I get it. It was Florida's moment of shining. But if you win that kind of trophy and instead of the winning team that usually gets it, kind of says something like, come on, really? Like, is that really your Conn Smythe winner?
I'll go along with you there. That's kind of a like a bad optic. It
Yeah.
didn't look good. Like it was very similar to when McElroy missed those putts last week and he walked off and didn't
Yeah.
congratulate DeChambeau. It was very similar to that. I'm a little surprised by that, but the guy was so devastated by, he didn't feel being honored as the MVP for his team, not winning the Stanley Cup. So I could see his point a little bit. But yeah, he is one great player and he's going to get a Stanley Cup before it's all said and done.
No
That was
question.
great.
It's just, just a one moment I had to bring up because I thought that was an odd,
Sure.
way to see. Other
Sure.
notes in the NHL, which I'll bring up real quick. The Ottawa Senators picked up Linus Ullmark from the Bruins in exchange for draft picks. It is confirmed the Anaheim Ducks will bring back the Mighty Ducks logo to their jerseys. It's going to be all orange and yellow, and we'll be back this season. It looks great. I can't wait.
I was actually, remember when we talked about this, I said,
Yes.
I hope they bring back the original.
And it's true.
Duck. Yes.
Yeah. And the Four Nations face-off games have announced 6 players from the NHL will play with each team, Finland and Sweden. Canada and USA rosters are not officially out yet, but it's worth checking out if you're interested. That's going to be happening in February of 2025. The NHL awards just took place. Nathan McKinnon took home the Hart Trophy and the Ted Lindsay Award. Connor Bedard won the Calder Trophy, which is the best rookie of the year. The full list of winners available on NHL.com or ESPN.com if you're interested to go down the list.
Yeah. I got some hockey, something I wanted to bring up because
go ahead.
We've talked about time and time again. There was a bunch of guys who made the NHL Hall of Fame, and a couple of them, when we usually, what Steve and I used to do, and Jim Walsh from Long Island always said, I'm going to say a name, and the answer is a yes or no, Hall of Fame. And so I went down the list, and I saw Jeremy Roenick, and immediately I said yes.
Yes.
So he got elected to the Hall of Fame. 500 goal scorer, third all time of American-born hockey players in the NHL. But a couple other ones wasn't really sure about. Pavel Datsyuk, he played for the Detroit Red Wings, won a couple of cups. And you know what? When I first saw the name, I had to kind of think back a little bit. But then I said, you know what? Yes, he was a solid player for 16 years and got a couple of cups. But then there were a couple of names that I wasn't 100% sure, that Shea Weber, and he came up with the Nashville Predators, and you look at his numbers, yeah, he was a very good hockey player, but Hall of Fame, I would have said, nah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
That didn't jump off the page at me real quick,
No.
But, I was absolutely delighted. I thought Jeremy Roenick was long overdue, and so that's the Hall of Fame take from my side of the fence. And I'd love for people to comment and let me know. And you would have to go back. Yeah, you would have to go back a few years.
A couple years.
Yeah, right. So
the last note go ahead.
Go ahead, Eli.
Last note, the rounds 2 to 7 of the NHL draft continues today, 11:30 on ESPN Plus NHL Network. San Jose picked up Macallan Celebrini last night from Boston University. Devils picked up Anton Silave, Cole Iserman from the Islanders, who the 20th pick had, and the Rangers picked up EJ Emery at the 30th pick. So the full list is available. Rounds 2 to 7 continue today. It was at the Spear. Nice job in Las Vegas. Pretty hard to see, but it was pretty good to watch if you're
but fan. You know what? I'm happy for my brother Steve, who's a Boston University graduate. My niece currently attends there. That the number 1 overall pick, like you said, it's Macklin Celebrini, the number 1 pick from BU. So that's kind of cool.
Absolutely.
All right, Eli, let's jump into some NBA news. And there was a lot of trades and signs, and there was some pretty big moves by the Knicks in particular, getting yet another member of the Villanova National Basketball Championship team by acquiring Mikal Bridges.
It was a big one.
Not much, I
The
mean, first
Villanova
round.
Knicks are back. Like,
Yeah.
it's just a
Um,
quick addition. That's all. Not much
right.
to be grateful for. I guess
And
it could.
again, we
It's
keep talking about the money that these guys are making in the NBA, and the Knicks, re-signed OG Anunoby, who very, very good player, but I immediately thought max contract, he's
Yeah.
making 40 million, 40 plus actually.
It's like, hold on one
Um,
second, right? Yeah. Like,
yeah,
that's what you have to think by.
right. But if you look at what the Knicks have done, you actually got to give them credit. There's some winning pedigree there with the Villanova kids and Bridges. Like I said, all he does is play. He never misses a game. Never
Right.
missed a game in college, and I don't think he's missed a game in the pros. So he got out of the Brooklyn jail, and he's going to the Knicks, and they're a team trying to build and beat the Boston Celtics, who are now public
Right.
enemy number one. That's who you chase, right? The defending champs. So they're
Absolutely.
making a lot of good moves. And here's another name, though, when I saw this. Remember, the Knicks traded Emmanuel quickly to
Right.
Toronto with R.J. Barrett, right? And, kind of a good player, but 5 years, $175 million for Emmanuel quickly?
It's not
The
LeBron
salary-
James. I mean,
Yeah. No.
where are you getting this money from? That's the first question.
Well, apparently Adam Silver's taken some lessons on how to make money in your league from Roger Goodell, because they just keep making
Or
money.
that, or they both went on Shark Tank trying to invest.
Yeah. So Eli, we also talked a little bit about the draft in the NBA, and like 4 guys from France were in the top 10 picks. That was
And 2 of them came back to back in the first 2 with Atlanta and Washington. And and it's pretty exciting to see, like, hey, USA, you're not that great. Go to France. They got a really good program, clearly, because, I mean.
So I was trying to think. We actually had a conversation with some guys at work, and we're talking about, who are the French players that made, any kind of noise in the NBA, and it was hard to think of. I guess Tony Parker would come to mind from San Antonio.
Okay.
Right, he's one, and I guess Rudy Gobert is from France too. I don't know.
I mean,
but this is the changing. It's not
a changing
the traditional
market.
Top 10, college basketball players. Like Zach Edey actually went, 9 or something, and it's the first time I think in maybe ever that the Naismith winner, who's the best college basketball player, didn't go in the top 5 picks, which is unusual. Yeah.
It's an unusual draft this year, that's for sure.
Yeah. And a lot of people are thinking that Edey's game may not translate into the NBA, but the guy is like 7'2", 7'3". I mean, there's got to be room on a team or a roster for a guy like that. No question.
Absolutely.
Right?
Other news, Timberwolves have agreed to a 4-year contract extension to head coach Chris Finch, and the Cleveland Cavaliers are hiring Kenny Atkinson as their next head coach.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Atkinson, I don't know. I mean, this is what his 3rd gig. It didn't work out for the Nets.
It's like an up and down roller coaster.
Yeah, but they just recycle the same guys in the NBA.
The usual happens, of course.
Right? I mean, we know Monty Williams got fired, but we know Monty Williams will be a head coach somewhere. Somewhere, right?
Yeah.
All right, Eli. So we covered a lot of the basketball. We covered the hockey. Why don't you give us kind of an update for our soccer fans listening to today's show?
Yes. Well, for those who enjoyed soccer, it's been a wild ride. And I'm going to go back to this crazy moment that happened on Monday's game in the Euro Cup as Croatia was eliminated after a big upset. They were ahead 1-0 the entire game. At the 90-minute mark, the referee adds 8 minutes to the clock. And guess what happened? In the 98th minute, Italy scores the tying goal, ties it up, ends the game in a tie, and Croatia gets eliminated from the Euro Cup. It was a crazy moment to see that happen. Yeah. I was seeing tons of videos from the Croatia fans there It was a complete mess. They had fireworks, they had everything, pre-gaming party, and to end your run like that was pretty crazy to see. For
Yeah.
the Euro Cup, the round of 16 begins today, starting with Switzerland and Italy at 12 o'clock on FS1. At 3 p.m., Germany versus Denmark will play, I believe, also on Fox. I believe will be on Fox today. The other teams that will play between now and Tuesday during the round of 16 include England versus Slovakia, Spain versus Georgia, France versus Belgium, Portugal versus Slovenia, Romania versus Netherlands, and Austria versus Turkey. All games are available on Fox and FS1. The quarterfinals begin on Friday. For Copa America, the United States is at 1-1 at the moment. The final group matches worth of games end on Tuesday. Thursday begins the quarterfinals round. Today's games are at 8 p.m., beginning with Argentina versus Peru on FS1, and then Canada versus Chile at the same time on FS2. Team USA's final group match will be on Monday at 9 p.m. on FS1 versus Uruguay. Top leaders include Argentina and Canada in Group A, Venezuela and Ecuador in Group B, or Uruguay and USA in Group C. So this will be a big game, of course, on Monday to watch.
Sure.
Colombia and Brazil in Group D, and all games continue on Fox, FS1, and FS2. But the bottom line is Uruguay, USA is a big game to watch on Monday because those two have the top two seedings right now in Group C and will determine where they will stand come for the quarterfinals round. So take a look and watch that Monday, 9 p.m. on FS1.
Wow. Good. You did my I know Mr. Diego Cruz is listening saying, nice job, Eli. You finally started talking about soccer a little bit more. So that's for that listener, Mr. Cruz.
That's for that listener and anybody else who enjoys soccer. Any other big soccer moment, let me know. I mean, I'm glad to share it. But I know the biggest one, though, for sure was Croatia, Italy, and Georgia. Moving on. That was a big, impressive start for them to go far. So congrats to them.
Yep. Good stuff. So Eli, let's move on to some baseball. The first interesting thing from the Men's College World Series, Tennessee wins that College World Series and they beat Texas A&M. And then the next day, the head coach of Texas A&M, after stating that he's not leaving Texas A&M, takes the rival job at University of Texas. Wow. I mean, that was like
let's just
big news, right?
Hop over.
Jim Schlossnagle.
Talk about hopping over the river, literally. I mean,
but that was kind of
surprise,
unprecedented. Anyway, so Tennessee is the reigning national champions in baseball.
It was a great game.
Yeah, and these are the future major leaguers. So it's didn't get a chance to watch it. It's pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah.
So let's move to the professional ranks, right? And
do you want to? We'll start off with Edwin Diaz. I mean, foreign substance, 10-game suspension that began on Monday. So now I believe 4 more days left now out of his suspension. Come on, man. Really? Like, that's just what the Mets needed after having all this grimace luck. You go to a foreign substance to say, hold on 1 second. Edwin Diaz, one of the stop the trumpets, because now we have a foreign substance. You can no longer play for 10 games. Like, come on. That's just exactly what the Mets needed. Like, the right time,
Well, listen, I think right now that the Mets are certainly overachieving.
They got lucky.
Right, but they're the hottest team in baseball right now. And, like I said, they started off the season thinking, this is kind of a rebuild year. They got rid of the other two with Scherzer and Verlander and so forth, but they didn't really improve that much. So, but they're playing well now. They're over 500 and they embarrassed the Yankees in Shea Stadium, or excuse me, it's Citi Field, but which you didn't expect seeing coming. So the Yankees are kind of in that little slump right now. But you look at the dynamic duo of Soto and Judge, and they just did things that no one's ever done. So this is the first time in baseball history that two guys on the same team have 20 home runs and 60 walks before the end of June. And the other guys that did this were Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig. right? And
Yeah.
Roger Maris and Mickey Mantle. So they're having a historic year. But you know what? The Yankees have some big questions right now. Is LeMahieu completely done? He doesn't. He could just be hurt, but who knows? The pitching is starting to kind of fall apart a little bit. Luis Heel, who was kind of the front runner for the Cy Young Award, had a couple of bad outings, but they're getting Cole back, who had kind of a mediocre, well, less than mediocre outing, gave up 4 home runs, but he's going to be fine. But the Yankees may need to fill some holes before
it's safe and
the
sound.
stretch run and coming up at the trade deadline, which I think is August 1st.
Yes, I believe you're right. But
right. So, but look, don't look now, but the Cleveland Guardians have the best record in the American League. And,
can you believe that? We were at the Orioles and Yankees at the top 2 now, and what a turn of events. Now you have the Guardians. Again, this is baseball, folks. We will see all of this happen all the time, but this is a big name that shocked us this early on, especially that we're entering July within 2 more days, rather.
Well, one of the reasons could be they're in the worst division in baseball, right?
That's true.
They're just terrible division, so they get to play some of those cupcake teams more frequently than the Yankees have to play. Don't look now, but the Red Sox are playing good baseball. Baltimore's been steady. And of course, the injury update, which we knew was coming. We told you when, Giancarlo Stanton pulls a muscle, barely even running. So now he's out. So that's another blow for the Yankees. Torres isn't hitting. You got to make some decisions about what your team's going to be down the stretch, and they may have to make some moves.
They got to make a lot of moves and real fast, that's for sure, in order to keep alive.
Look who's tearing it up too. Is this guy Shohei Ohtani? He's absolutely on fire. He's going to probably win the MVP again for the Dodgers this year, and the guy really is that good. He's that good.
Oh yeah, absolutely, indeed. He's good, and he's the face for sure.
He is the face. You're absolutely right about that. So, like I said, we talk a little bit more about the Mets and the Yankees
because of that our area.
It's in our area, but we watch everything else that's going on. Even Houston, who got off to a terrible start, starting to play good baseball again, even though the Mets took it to them again last night. So a lot of good things happening with across the sports, right? And we'll get into some random points in particular in a little bit. And why don't we just jump into that right now? Our random points of interest, of course, is sponsored by Lynch Toyota. And as you can see, I'm wearing my Lynch Toyota shirt today. So,
absolutely. We have a lot of random points today.
The way our sponsors support us, we support our sponsors as well. So free marketing. Okay, so Eli, I got a few random points here.
And I have a lot, so go ahead.
Yep. So Scotty Scheffler, after a disappointing U.S. Open, bounces back and comes and wins his 6th tournament. And nobody has won 6 tournaments before July since Arnold Palmer in 1962. And my feelings on Mr. Palmer, obviously. You did cover on Edwin Diaz. There was a rare triple play by the Phillies, a 1-3-5 triple play, which was the first triple play of that magnitude since 1929. Think of how many baseball games have taken place since 1929.
I'm going to bid 10,602.
Oh God, probably 100,000. Probably 100,000.
Just bidding, for fun.
Yeah. Oh, so listen, I actually I was privy to a conversation, kind of a forum with the president of Pfizer, Frank Bisignano, who's talking about leadership and so forth. And one of his special guests was Deion Sanders.
Yeah.
And I've been very, very critical of Mr. Sanders for a long time. Yeah. But I'm going to say this. I was very, very impressed with his presentation, the words that he said, and I can kind of understand a little bit more now about his burning desire. And the guy's a winner. He was a great,
No
football
question.
player, Hall of Famer, also played in a World Series, and, he's got his sons and playing for him at Colorado. But, this was more about this. And I'm going to tip my hat to him. It was very, very impressive. The conversation he had with one of the most powerful men in business. It was just kind of a great story. And I wanted to point it out that I was very, very impressed with Coach Prime as they advertised it. Right.
Absolutely.
Yep. I got just a couple more quick things. Yesterday, something that it's apparently never been done. Certainly on a USGA perspective.
Right.
But Frank Bensel, he had back-to-back hole-in-ones at the U.S. Senior Open yesterday. Back-to-back hole-in-ones. That's amazing. It's a 1 billion and one shot.
How did you do that? I want to know, what did you do beforehand?
Right? No. He hit the ball.
I know it's hard.
And it went in the hole. So those are some of my random points. All right.
Let me kick it off. The Eagles will wear the Kelly Green uniforms during weeks 9 and 17. That'll be the Jaguars and then the Cowboys in week 17. A jury has ruled that NFL Sunday Ticket orders to pay $4.7 billion to fans and $96 million in damage to bars following a mixed match in prices and, of course, damages of quality in both the direct TV market. So the NFL will be definitely paying. Will the prices drop in the future? We don't know. If the NFL how much NFL will pay back exactly is still unclear to the fans, but it's still a big investigation that will be definitely going through tons of appeals for sure.
And that's a staggering amount of money that they have to pay.
$4.7 billion. It's a lot.
Amazing. That's amazing.
It really is. Meanwhile, over in the WNBA, the Minnesota Lynx have won the Commissioner's Cup. The Liberty are in first place with a 15-3 record. Last night, the Dream took over the Suns 78-74. Mercury over the Sparks 92-78. Today's games, Aces Mystics not on TV at 2 o'clock. Wings Storms 9 p.m. on NBA TV. And then you have tomorrow Dream Liberty on 1 p.m. on ESPN. Fever Mercury 3 p.m. on ESPN. And Lynx Sky 3 p.m. not on your local television. So that is some games to watch out for. Other random points that we have. Congrats to John Anderson, as last night he officially retired from ESPN and SportsCenter. He did the show with Steve Levy last night. He is also the GOAT of Wipeout, the ABC show. I enjoyed watching him with John Henson. Fantastic show. I enjoyed watching. I always thought John Anderson was one of the most articulate
anchors in SportsCenter history. He was great.
Absolutely.
Very funny.
And
very sharp.
He was sharp, and I loved him on Wipeout. If you remember the show Wipeout on ABC, he was.
I don't. No.
Well, okay, so that'll be your recommendation for this week. Watch Wipeout. One season, the old original Wipeout with John Henson. You will laugh because of the jokes.
Oh, cool. No, John, I'm glad you put that up because he is a consummate pro, that guy, no doubt.
Absolutely. Other two notes that I have, ESPN and the ESPYs have announced that the Arthur Ashe Award for Courage will go to Steve Gleason. The Jimmy V Award for Perseverance will go to basketball coach Dawn Staley. And the Pat Tillman Award for Service will go to Prince Harry, a.k.a. the Duke of Sussex. So that's where our sports awards are heading to, folks. Not to service member, to Prince Harry and everybody else. It was a controversial pick by the ESPYs and ESPN. Finally, when the Wimbledon tennis tournament kicks off this week, Monday, 6 in the morning on ESPN. So take a look at that. Some programming will be shifting if you enjoy watching some of the ESPN programming. And that is my random points for this week.
Well done, lad. Well done. But yes, I'm glad that you brought up Wimbledon because, like I said, I don't know if Nadal's playing. Not sure if Djokovic is playing. So
we don't know.
This is an opportunity for people. And Wimbledon's one of the coolest things. And the thing I like most about it is you can watch a match live at 6 a.m. in the morning. And I think that's pretty cool,
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and we'll get to see that coming up with the British Open in golf. Will be in a couple of weeks too, over at Royal Troon in
Yeah.
across the pond, right? So Eli, let's just move on. I do have a movie recommendation this week.
And of course, it's all sponsored by Vital Selections. Don't forget to scan the QR code to learn more.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They are a new sponsor, and please check out their website and take your health back. That's what it's designed to do.
Yep.
So I do have a movie recommendation, but I've also gotten some suggestions from loyal listeners like Andy Caroline. It says, maybe you could do restaurant recommendations or food recommendations.
Okay.
And so I did have one, and I'm going to save it for next week. So
We'll save it for Thursday's 4th of July show.
Right, for the 4th of July show.
Yeah.
And people may find it interesting. It's going to kind of address our older audience and make a little bit of an awareness for our younger audiences. So little teaser out there that will settle up on July 4th. But my movie recommendation this week is, and I look back on it, I don't think we covered it, but Rain Man was a great movie. I don't know if you've seen it, Eli.
Oh, never seen it. Rain Man, no.
It's a great movie. Tom Cruise, Dustin Hoffman. Highly recommended if you haven't seen it. And forgetting, Tom Cruise and his crazy Scientology things or whatever that is, but he's a damn good actor. I'll give him that.
Okay. Well, here's my recommendations for this week. Number one, I just watched last week in the movie theaters, Inside Out 2. I know I recommended before. It's still in theaters. Watch it. It is really, really good. I went to see it in theaters last week. Really good to see. If you relate to it, you'll get it. You'll understand the movie a lot. So definitely watch Inside Out 2 in theaters.
Apparently, people are enjoying it because it just topped the $1 billion mark.
Yes, it did.
So,
it is the highest grossing animated film of all time. Watch it. I tell you, it's really, if you relate to some of the stuff, you will be blown away. It is really, really good. So
I might consider seeing that.
Yeah, watch it. It's an animated movie, but it's really good. Take a look at it. And the second recommendation to have is, Jim never watched Wipeout, so watch Wipeout with John Anderson and John Henson. It had over 7 seasons on ABC. So if you haven't, take a look and watch Wipeout. Really good. And there's also a new version with what's his name? The wrestler, John Cena, yes, on TBS. There's other versions of that. And we do have now a comment from Andrew. Good morning. Love last week's tributes to Willie Mays and Donald Sutherland.
Yes, those were big names and big losses. And we actually going to follow that up in a little bit with, and it's kind of ironic because it was a teammate of Willie Mays's, and they passed away 10 days apart.
We will get to that in just a second, but we have some photos first.
Yes, we do.
We'll start
with this one. There's my brother Steve, and that's his son Sean, who graduated from Ramapo High School in Franklin Lakes, New Jersey, and next stop he'll be playing lacrosse at the University of Scranton. So it was great to see Steve being able to go and see his son graduate, and like I said, he's doing great, and Sean,
we want him back on the show. We want him back, just even for a little bit. We want him back.
Yep. But
we got to make it
it's a big step, and like I said, is
try to arrange it. Have him come on 4th of July, Jim. Bring it on back.
We'll see. We won't rush it, but we'll see.
Oh, we won't rush it, but just to say hello.
Right. And here again, I know people are going to get sick of it, but this is my grandson pitching, so he had not only he catches, he pitches, he hits home runs. Had a walk-off home run the other night, so I'm just proud of the kid. He's really taken to it. He loves baseball, and you cover baseball, and in a couple of years, this kid's going to be in high school, and we're going to be talking about him time and time again. So great. Thanks for posting those pictures, Eli.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I mentioned from a notable passing perspective, one of Willie Mays' teammates, and they played together for a long time, almost 9 years in San Francisco when the Giants, this Orlando Cepeda was 86, and Orlando Cepeda was one of the first great Puerto Rican baseball players of all time. you got to put him up there with guys like Roberto Clemente. Clemente maybe a little bit above, but Cepeda was Rookie of the Year in 1958, and then he subsequently got traded and won an MVP for the St. Louis Cardinals in 1967, and he also won the World Series that year. So Orlando Cepeda was a great baseball player. He was marred by an off-the-field incident, but he redeemed himself and came back and was an ambassador for the game of baseball, especially from his native Puerto Rico. So look up his stats. They're outstanding, and he was a great ball player. He was 86.
Wow.
And
So
Eli, I just saw this morning from the world of entertainment. Now, you may not remember him, but I certainly do. Martin Mull. He was an actor, comedic actor on many different shows. I remember him first. There used to be a show called Fernwood Tonight many, many, many years ago.
Okay.
And he was kind of on that show. That's where he was kind of introduced.
What was another popular show?
He was on Roseanne for many years as well.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
And he was also on a show called Arrested Development, which I never saw, but that's got big critical acclaim for many years.
But I know Roseanne is a popular one, of course.
Yeah, but Martin Mull was very, very funny. He had a very quick sense of wit and comedy, and he was 80 years old. So, that's a loss for the comedy world in the entertainment field anyway.
Absolutely.
So, Eli, fill us in on so where are you off to on your little cruise?
Next Friday, I leave on a cruise from Bayonne to Orlando in Bahamas. So because of that, we're going to do a show on Thursday, July 4th. And so it makes sense. We did it July 4th because it's a holiday. So you get to celebrate the holiday, talk about sports, and you can hang out with us and watch a good 1 hour programming of a show. So that's what we're doing. That unfortunately, we could not do a Saturday show. It was a little, out of we have no producer to cover. So we were here though.
But we bounced back and followed up on Sunday, and our listeners didn't abandon us, so that was awesome.
So, but the good news is, even though there's no Saturday show, we have a 4th of July show. Here's the promo one more time. Don't forget to watch us Thursday at 10 a.m. on YouTube. It's our Sports with Mono July 4th special. Take a listen. Take your time on your 4th of July holiday to listen to your favorite group of Sports with Mono and Mono. No Saturday show. As a reminder, we'll be live Thursday, July 4th, 10 a.m. Don't miss it.
Yeah, this will be our first July 4th show ever.
Yeah. So we're gonna make it we're gonna do our normal sports show and make it a little special. We honor America and have fun with it, of course, as always.
You bet. So great stuff, Eli. So like I said, we're at the halfway way in the season for baseball. The NBA is wheeling and dealing and signing guys, and people are getting money, and the hockey season's over. So now, like you said, we got to turn our vision to other sports like Wimbledon and then the British Open. So there is plenty of sports to fill the air waves. And like I said, if you're out and about, Eli and I were just talking before the show. We're getting very excited about not too far off. It's almost July. It'll be July for our next show, but high school football is right around the corner, and we love that. And
we'll be planning to do a lot of road shows during the football season. Obviously, not only to St. Joe's, but to my home at St. Mary's, so we can both work around our schedules and my broadcast schedule and our sports show, of course. So we're going to make sure we're going to work around it, and we're going to make it epic.
Something so far, I mean, I've been getting some really good feedback from some of our loyal listeners, and we're really nothing, obviously, without our loyal listener base, and we get new listeners every day. And now you've created, we're starting to move into the Instagram platform, and we're going to be a lot more visible. So we're developing this show into some good things, and Eli, you bring a good youthful vision to sports in today's day and age. And you could say I bring the old school thought process back, but the mix between that and yours and what you bring to the show is really what's causing our show to take off. And I'm very happy and thanking all of our loyal listeners and thanking you as well, Eli.
Appreciate it as always.
So I will see you on the 4th of July, our
Yes.
country's birthday, and
Thursday
looking forward
special.
to- Yep, and I know Eli put out the news flyer on it. So in case you didn't catch today's show, you can get the updates via Instagram and so forth. So
Absolutely.
all right, Eli.
Have a
I'll
great-
see you on Thursday. Have a
Yes,
great
see you
weekend.
Thursday. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.
Okay, bye.